complimenting each other.
Yeah, because we both came in with the pink vibes.
Oh my God, we're so girly.
Yeah, we're like ready for Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day.
Brain Candy Podcast, episode 874. We are nowhere near Valentine's Day, but we are in that vibe, okay? Just accept
love and love.
That's actually probably appropriate. We did not plan this, but we have an interview at the end of the episode with my beloved Tonia Haddix from Chimp Crazy, who also loves the color pink.
Yes, this is such an appropriate outfit for this show.
Yes.
Gosh,
pink
what does she think
today.
about our Halloween costume?
I didn't have the courage to ask.
Oh.
I truly thought about it. It was like, because I don't want her to think we were making fun of her because we were not.
I was not.
We were honoring.
I was absolutely like every single part of me was going towards like, I want to capture the essence of that relationship in our photo. That's who I was for Halloween.
We were trying. And like, I will ask her and I'll tag her whenever this episode comes out, and maybe she will appreciate it because it was an homage. I mean, truly, to an icon.
Absolutely.
So that'll be coming up later. But for now, we're just going to dive right in.
Yes.
Sarah, how are you?
I am doing real well. I am
back in the water.
Back in the water. I'm on the apps. I did it.
I meant the literal
back in the water
polo.
and water. Oh my God, all kinds of water. Yes, I'm in all water. I meant you. I thought you were talking about like in the pond, like fish, like
back on the saddle,
like back on the saddle, like one of the. I don't know. Fucking
so
A.
She's on the dating apps. Everybody, round of applause. Let me cheer.
Oh.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, this is a joy for all of us.
Last time I was on there, well, not last time, but like one of the times, you were very helpful with me in writing a profile. Back in the day, you used to actually have to write things in the profile. Now what? It's very sparse. It's like
it's visual driven,
and a couple prompts that are 2-sentence answers. Short answer. Wow. There isn't even room to be.
Wow.
Like
people are just phoning
They do a voice. They have this voice thing where you can put an audio message, but fuck if I'm doing that.
No.
If you want to hear me.
Put a link to our show instead. Oh my God. So before there was this illusion that like what was inside mattered.
Yeah, apparently that is gone. It is actually different since the last time I was on the apps.
Really?
Yes, it feels like.
Besides that, like the energy's different. Everyone's just animals wanting to bang constantly.
Energy's a little different because I'm on women looking for women.
Yeah, it's like, did the dating apps change or did Sarah change?
I mean, that vibe is still the same. It does feel like overwhelming.
What?
Just like the number
of options?
The sheer, in my mind, I'm like, wow, there are so many gay people in Denver.
Right? Don't tell the bigots. We do not want them to know how many people are gay.
Yeah, a lot, apparently, or at least queer.
You're telling me there's a lot of fish in the sea.
I am telling you there are a lot of queer fish in.
Do you think that they are mostly like queer, or do you think it's truly leses?
No, I think it's mostly queer.
Mostly queer.
I do. I think hard to tell. That would be judging actually, no. You can look, because people will say whether they're queer, lesbian, how they identify. And 50-50.
Oh my gosh.
But
is it all these Gen Zers?
Yeah, here's what I've noticed.
Good for them.
Older people over the age of 35.
Gay.
Quicker to label themselves lesbian.
Yeah.
Under?
That makes sense. They're like, whatever, anything goes.
Different labels. Different. That's not, doesn't encompass, like.
All right, let me ask you this. I'm even learning. Just guessing. We have no data, anecdotally.
Right.
Of the queers.
Yes.
Like, what percentage of these young queers do you think will end up leses?
Oh, 80, 90%.
Oh,
the way things are now, puh.
It's not like they're just experimenting.
No, it doesn't feel like that.
Okay,
this feels like the other side of it. This feels like I'm in the 40. I'm in the 40 and up crowd.
You've been through some stuff.
It's like a lot of them are people who I think were married and were in straight relationships and are now rediscovering who they are. Yeah.
Right. Sure. Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, good for them.
Yeah.
Good for you for being able to enjoy them.
Yeah. So I'm doing that. That's just
great. I will live vicariously through you. What do you notice on their, I don't know what the hell's going on over there, likes and dislikes? What do they say? Long walks on the beach?
This cracked me up. I noticed, first of all, there are so many Sarahs. How do we feel about that?
I mean, it does seem like there are a lot of Sarahs in the world.
Right. And then there are also a lot of therapists. Everybody is a queer therapist named Sarah. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? I can't date myself.
Why do you think they're all single is what I want to know. Just too many, they're given to other people. They didn't take any time for themselves or what?
No, I think it's just the normal cycle we go through in relation that this is just the batch of single people right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But why therapists?
Well, I know why therapists. I know for myself, as soon as I went to grad school, like when you are working as a therapist and you have to look in them. If you went into grad school in married,
yeah,
have a good couples therapist. Make sure you're going to couples because you may not come out of grad school
Trouble's
married
brewing.
because you might go, oh shit, I see some things that I did not see before going through this process.
Yeah, that doesn't sound pleasant.
And so now I think maybe people who've been, maybe they're like me, they've been in the biz for 5 years. I'm like, okay, this is about the time
you're ready.
Time for me to call it. Time for me to
okay.
recognize that I got to practice what I preach.
Would you be open to dating a therapist named Sarah?
I'm very open to dating a therapist, even though I've been told don't do that. We'll just end up talking the whole time, but that's fine. We're lesbians, as we do anyway. But I think Sarah would be a problem. I don't know if I could do that.
I think that would be weird.
I can't. I don't know. It's the name
what
thing
about
for
Sarah
me.
without an H?
No, I even saw that. I was like, next. Like, just the name. Wow. I couldn't do it.
I mean, I'm so sorry to all the queer Sarahs in Denver because they are going to be really sad about their fate.
This is just the first time. Maybe I'll like hit the end and then I'll like reset like a deck of cards, like go back to the beginning. Just you know, and you're playing.
Yeah, and you'll be like, okay, fine.
Yeah, and I'll be
call
like,
her S or I bet lesbians use last names a lot, like Rice.
Right. It's so funny because that is the tone that I say it. I'm so annoyed that you're right.
I mean, like I can see it.
I can see it too. God.
All right. Well, that's something to think about. Like you could work around it.
Yeah. So that I noticed a lot of that makes me laugh so much. The other thing that I have noticed that is very funny to me, it became funny after I saw it 1,000 times, is they love to brag about parallel parking.
Sarah told me this, and I was like, "You have to say this on the show."
Love it. It is the female, and you know what? When I was on the apps back in the day and dating women, the female equivalent, the early aughts version of this was driving a stick shift.
Okay, I get.
I put that on my and that's apparently that's a turn on.
It is.
I was
so
told
is parallel parking.
I mean, yeah.
Because if someone can't do parallel parking, it's like, oof.
Right. And like, I mean,
I can't imagine putting it in my bio.
Crush of those things. Right.
I mean, that's saying something. If you're like I'm so good at
built
this.
the back of the bed. And
did you put that in your bio?
No, but I'm like, that is.
You should have.
Like lesbian porn, please.
They love it.
I would imagine. I love it.
You should have done a time lapse of you doing that.
I did, but then I'm like, this feels like not safe for work content.
It's too hot.
It's too hot.
It's almost like mean.
Right. I'm like, oh, Sarah, this is a thirst trap. This is the thirstiest thirst trap. Oh my God. Yeah.
Okay, so
I would feel more comfortable putting up just nude photos of myself.
Right.
That
they would be
more
less
private.
into it.
Yes.
So you feel like the parallel parking brag is the lesbian equivalent of the straight man with the fish.
Yes. It does. It feel, but like something that they would say in their bio, kind of like they all say, I'll show you the best taco place in town or something like that. Yeah. Feels like that. Like
what are their pictures mainly? The main picture type of thing. Profile.
I need the algorithm to start feeding me what I'm looking for because I'm not noticing as much outdoorsy gals as I thought.
That's shocking.
I know. It's shocking to me too.
Maybe it's like implied with lesbians.
No, I need to see pics because it's not because I have it in my bio that like
what is your bio? Let's pull it up. Yeah, I do. I really do, and I'm mad that it took me 11 minutes and 59 seconds to even ask this question.
I can't believe it, but you know what? Whatever. Yeah. Who cares?
Yeah, whatever. This is good content, Sarah.
Okay. All right.
A treat.
The first prompt is the way to win me over is.
Oh my God.
Show up with genuine curiosity, a sense of adventure, and the ability to laugh at yourself. Yeah. Bonus points if you're up for a day on the slopes or can appreciate a good après-ski cocktail. Okay, you're laughing? That what?
No, it's great. It's great. It's like a nervous laughter. Like, I can't believe I get to know.
Oh, so
it feels
what do we
so
think?
Intimate. I love it.
Should I change it? Should we edit it?
No, it's perfect. As evidenced by the reception I've heard a lot about.
Well, I don't know. I'm too scared to click. I have like 15 messages waiting for, and I'm too scared to open it. This is the first time I've opened it in 72 hours because to do this because I'm like, it's going to show me that I've been active and I don't want people to know. But here we are.
Oh, like then they know you're on. Yeah, that would freak. Right, you can't turn that off.
I don't fucking know. I'm new at this. So we're learning.
I would go into settings lickety split because that would freak me out too.
But when you can go into like vacation mode or incognito mode, but then you can't see your profile. Disables everything. You can't look at
thought of everything.
I know.
I love it. I think your bio is perfect and it's accurate.
Okay. Do you want to know more?
Yeah.
Okay. Next prompt. There are only 3. Don't worry. My greatest strength, knowing my weaknesses, and being willing to laugh at them.
Jumanji. Okay,
learn from them and turn them into opportunities for growth.
Okay. Everyone loves that.
Because I do know my weaknesses. And I can't be like my greatest strength fucking everything.
But you wanted to a little bit.
I'll be like, where should I begin? So instead I'll be like, I know my weaknesses. Yeah.
Okay.
Right? And that's part of like, the Ragger's Creed. I am humble for I know my weakness, or I'm strong for I know my weakness.
Yeah.
That is part of my Ragger's Creed that I have.
That's
the
good.
YMCA. So
very attractive too.
Okay, people like that one.
Yeah.
And then the last prompt is a random fact I love.
Oh my God. Is it about square poop or what?
Oh my God, it's so funny that you say square. If you could remove all of the empty space within atoms and condense the matter on Earth, it would be roughly the size of a sugar cube.
Right. That is a good one.
That's a good one. And doesn't that encompass me like that? This is...
Yeah, and that is your favorite.
This is my favorite. Right. So...
What do most people put for that one? Something dumb?
No, I've been very impressed. In fact, here's what I've noticed is sometimes I'm like, shit, I really like their answers. These are people I would really like to hang out with. And then I'm like, I don't know if you're my type. I don't know if I'm attracted to you.
Yeah.
Because you're just like me.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe I have to just try. I don't know what I'm attracted to. I don't know.
Wow. We're going to find out.
We will.
We're on this journey together now.
We sure are. Now we are. And my profile picture is a picture of me in my sleeping bag.
Oh,
I mean, it's the second photo, but I think that's pretty good,
God.
Right? With
what
fire and a glass of wine.
Show me the first photo, because this is my favorite story ever. Beautiful. That is the perfect balance, because that is what you look like.
Yes.
It's not a misrepresentation. Yeah, these are perfect.
Then
but that funny
camping.
One
and then
is good. These are the correct ones.
And then these are the last two.
I wish you all could see this. I apologize, because we're an auditory medium.
You've now just taken a tour. Right. You just taken a tour.
But all of Sarah's pictures, you can imagine them in your mind.
Yeah.
It's like outdoorsy but beautiful. And like not glam. Like, but you look glam as you are. So it really works out for you.
Thank you. So.
Like most people don't look like that when they're camping. But then you also include that funny one, which is the true Sarah.
Right.
Louise. Yeah.
And then the caption above it says something like "me in my natural habitat," or like they give it like a prompt that you can add to it, or it's like "dating me looks like." That's what it says. It says "dating me looks like."
I would totally click on you, and I'm not even gay.
Thank you.
I'd be like, she's fun and a hoot, and
that's what
beautiful.
I'm trying to give off. I'm just trying to be authentic. I'm not putting up like pictures where I'm like wearing
You're like
makeup.
the only person on that app that's like genuinely posting the truth, though.
I don't know. I think some of the people that
maybe the leses are. I don't know.
I think so. It's much better.
The men don't, from what I hear.
So we'll see. I don't know. I haven't gone on any dates yet. We're still just in the like.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing and being candid, because that is a joy.
It's so funny because like in dating, I am so private and I don't want, but then I come on here and I'm like, okay, let me show you my profile. I'm just so the opposite on here than I am in my dating world. I just am like very private.
All right, Sarah, we got to take a break, okay? Mm-hmm. We got business to attend to, and that is the business of how freaking great Factor meals are.
Yes.
My mom is a subscriber.
Oh, she's the perfect person to be a and you know what? So would my mom if she lived in the United States and they could ship to Costa Rica. Anybody who's, I think if you're cooking for one, this will save you so much money. Time,
energy.
Money, all of the things that you want to save. And don't you think starting the year on a really good foot with like
getting
healthy
organized.
Eating, yes, in a bunch of different boxes that you can check for this. Time management, routine. You know, I, with my own therapist, work all the time about getting breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is like my cope ahead strategy. I know it's so silly, but even if you just have those, you and I both love their protein shakes.
Yeah.
And having those as like an on-the-go breakfast thing and snack midday, so easy.
Yeah, this is a meal delivery that it's basically like guilt-free comfort food, because you can get like steaks and pasta.
Oh, that creamy cauliflower mashed potato.
So satisfying.
It's so good.
But it's like done. It comes to you done, and you just heat it right up in no time flat. Right. And it is delicious. Head to factormeals.com/50braincandy. Use code 50braincandy. You get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code 50braincandy at factormeals.com/50braincandy to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping while your subscription is active. Do what Peg does.
Yes.
Well, since we're on the subject, I will share this is just a small thing. I was reading dating trends from one of the apps. I don't know what app it was, but they said, it's Tinder. Tinder's annual dating report said, let me see if you could guess. Probably not.
I love these. I love this already.
What do you think is the fastest growing bio mention? It is like a hobby, and it is up by 148%.
Woodworking.
Not just among lesbians.
Oh. Well, I don't know. I just feel like woodworking is
okay. No, it is not woodworking.
What is a hobby? Oh, is it gardening? Plants? Plant daddy. Plant. What?
Plant daddy.
I don't know. I just feel like that. I follow an account called Plant Daddy on Instagram. So
it's pickleball.
Oh, I could have fucking got there.
Right.
God damn it.
I can't.
I could have got there.
I'm thankful. I almost didn't want to bring it up because you were playing pickleball so much for a while, but you haven't lately, and I was so glad.
Well, because the season's changed. But still super into it. Love it. Great.
Oh my
but
God.
I'm not crazy because I have other hobbies.
That's true. And to put in your bio?
I think what this is, I'm happy about that because I think it's people wanting to convey that they are active, and I like anything that keeps you active. This is what racquetball was like this in the 90s. Yeah. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. Racquetball had we went through a phase of that.
Do you think it's just like running or something?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's like
I think there's a specific type, though, that would put pickleball specifically in their bio. And that person annoys me.
Yeah, they also may be members of the HOA or PTA or any other collection of initials. Do you know what I mean?
Right, yeah. They're white for sure. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
There is a preference for golden retriever energy, which is Sarah's time to shine. Oh. Let's face it. Because the descriptors are loyal, friendly, and optimistic. Think Travis Kelce.
Oh, my gosh. I am this.
You are this.
Yes.
And it reflects a cultural move towards partners who embody reliability and warmth. Sarah, again.
I will be that.
I mean, it feels like the world is your oyster here.
Well, I'm feeling pretty good. Which is very good because a couple episodes ago, we talked about how I was basically dying from the inside out. So,
right. Yeah.
my organs just like failing on me. So this is
I think
good.
We're wrong.
This is
okay.
Look it up.
And nearly 20% of users are creating vision boards.
What?
Okay.
What do you mean? What do they mean by that? Do they mean like they are
to manifest their ideal relationship at home? They're creating vision boards.
Okay.
And so that led Tinder to introduce an in-app interactive vision board tool that you could use. They are following trends.
I don't know how I feel about that.
You know how I feel about it.
You're going to love this, but I feel like our understanding of vision boards, or how we see vision boards now, is lazy and only doing half the work.
It's like how I think once you have a title, you've finished your book.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. That's a very good...
I always was like, once I have a title, it's like halfway done.
Right. And that's it. Through like, I made my vision board, so like I basically don't have to do anything. No, you have to visualize how the steps that you would take in order to obtain that thing.
Yeah.
And wanting doesn't do that. And so that's why it's important to go to a therapist and learn how to use these tools, because...
Yes. Because I always felt like vision boards, if you are into them, it's not magic.
Right.
It's like the thing about that they say about police officers, how like whenever they pull somebody over and they're like standing with the car, it's a real risk to them because the other motorists see them, and like the way the human body works is like you go where your eyes go.
Yes.
And so then sometimes cars tend to veer toward them instead of away. That's how I see a vision board. It's like, where are your eyes? If your eyes are looking at something all the time, then you tend to move in that direction.
Yes.
But I think a lot of people do what you're saying. They do it and then it's like set and forget.
Yeah. And they're like, okay. Or that they don't have to put in any of the work in moving towards that. There's still like motion. Yes. You don't just like magically.
Yes, it's not magic.
Yeah. So
right. Okay, well, those are the dating trends. Sarah's set up for success.
But it makes sense because online dating, or the apps, are very surface level, and they're good and helpful if you are using them in addition to other things that you're doing. Mm-hmm. In the same way a vision board is helpful if you're using it in addition to other things. But sometimes people can just rest on like that being the end of the work. Mm-hmm. And I think that's when they struggle with both dating apps and vision boards.
Yeah. Okay. Well, keep us posted, Sarah. We're all rooting for you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Let's begin with a fun story. I mean, we're fucking halfway through because this was such a joy for me. The brain part, let's begin with a really cool article I read in Fast Company that was about a group of magicians who
we love that.
Were tasked with the job of creating a magic trick.
A group of magicians should be called an illusion.
The collective noun for a group of magicians.
Okay, I just had to say that before I forgot. Continue.
Their job, or it was like a contest or something, but the goal was to create a magic trick that was relying entirely on auditory cues. It had no visual cues, and you weren't allowed to talk, and it had to only be sounds.
Very cool.
So cool.
Very cool that I love this.
I love it. Mm-hmm. And so, they're trying to make magic more inclusive.
Yes.
And it wasn't about, like I said, vision. It wasn't about words. It wasn't about mentalism, blah, blah, blah. And it couldn't rely on words because they wanted it to be global and like get all magicians to be involved. But they finally found one, and it's best described as an auditory teleportation. And the essence is that the magician appears to magically move from one corner of the room to the other using nothing but sound to mislead the audience. And it just made me so happy because they show like a person sitting in a chair in the middle of the room, and then the magician is working around them, and they're using like, I think it was a glass bottle and a spoon to like create the sound. And the person in the chair would have to point to where the magician was.
Cool.
And so then at one point in a split second, the magician appears to, or I don't know what the word is for appear for audio, but sounds like the magician sounds like he or she moves from one side of the room to the other, like a teleportation.
Yeah.
And then the trick ends when the magician makes a sound, but with its mouth, but not a word. So they were just sticking to the rules on that. Anyway,
wow.
It's an imperfect trick, they said, because they don't know if you could do it twice to the same person, because like maybe the brain learns how to sense it, but it's evidence that it can be done and that magicians can start to think about ways to do tricks for everybody.
That I love when there are challenges like this, and why art and music and design and anything like that for people who are differently abled is good for all of us.
Yes.
Because
it expands the art.
It expands it. It allows us that understanding of how sound works and how you can trick the brain with sound in the same way we did with visual stuff and illusions, like visual illusions. What the hell is the word for that? Visual, what?
It's just illusion.
My brain was maybe doing an illusion on itself, where I'm like, I feel like there's a word that I'm missing. But yes, illusion. But yeah, when we learn information about that, it opens doors for so many other things, and it creates a different like way of looking at things, a different perspective. It's so important.
Yeah, and it's like it would make the whole genre of magic better if you're thinking about those items.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we never know. I love stuff like this because you never know what will come from it. That who knows when you pair up magicians and maybe sound engineers and people who
different kind of expertise.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Because they were saying that they relied on something called the cone of confusion, which I've never heard of.
There you go. What the hell is that?
It's the phenomenon when you're in your car and you hear a siren and you can't figure out where it's coming from. That's the cone of confusion. And so that is the foundation for this particular trick. And I'm sure you could do it in a lot of ways. And so I loved learning about that and how there's something called the shepherd's tone, which I'd never heard of. And if you're like a music person like me, it was really fun to learn about it. It's this thing where you hear a song, which I'll play for you in a second, that sounds like a staircase of tones. Like it sounds like it keeps getting higher, but it's an auditory illusion because it's not. It's like layers of tones where some of them are getting higher, but some of them are getting lower. And also the volume of them changes so that it creates like this loop that your brain can't process. So when I play it for you, it will sound like a staircase of tone, but it's not. And that is freaking weird.
That is like when you see, when they have the blocks or like the squares and they're like, these are two of the same shades of gray, but you're like, nope,
no,
that one's
not.
black and that's white. And they're like, nope, this is the same shade of gray. And your brain is like, nope. Okay, well, I love this shit.
And they compared it to the visual equivalent would be a barbershop pole.
Oh, okay.
Where the ribbons
can't tell
look like they're disappearing up top and then they go away, but really it's just things going in a circle. But the way that it looks is that those stripes are moving upwards, but they're not. That's what this is.
You're right, they're not. That is tricky in my mind even right now.
Yeah, like, it's an
my
illusion.
mind is
Okay, let me play this and see what you think. It sure sounds like it's going up. And that's it.
I can. It absolutely does. But then you can see it go. It loops back around. It's like that hand drawing the hand, where it's like, it just keeps going around and around, and you don't know where the end is. Because just when I think it's going to be the highest note, it's actually the lowest note again.
Mm-hmm.
Weird.
That's cool, man.
Weird. I love shit like that. I have honestly never heard of an auditory.
Me neither. I've never heard of the shepherd's tone. And they gave other examples. They gave this link to this thing on YouTube where you're supposed to put your headphones on, close your eyes, and listen. And it's called something like a simulation of a barbershop. And you feel like you're in a barbershop and you feel like someone's cutting your hair.
That's what I love about ASMR. Yes, I love that shit.
And it's like, what is happening? Yeah, it puts you in that space. It's super weird and cool.
I love that.
Tip of the hat.
And I love anything that makes us question our reality, like what we see and our eyes and our ears. And if we can be that easily tricked, who knows what we're being tricked about all the time.
Yeah, right. And like we always say, truth with the capital T. Right. Be very wary of anyone who claims they have it.
Because I don't know if there's such a thing.
Usually an illusion. Okay, so that's super cool. We love it. I watched the Superman documentary on Max, which is about Christopher Reeve.
Okay.
So good.
Oh,
such a joy.
Now, did it talk about all, like, the Superman curse?
No, it didn't. It was just about him.
I wonder why it didn't. Maybe they didn't want... Okay, fine. It's more of a Christopher Reeve documentary.
Yes, this was just about him, his life. It was made by his kids. And he has 2 kids from his first marriage and then a son with Dana, who was the one that was with him when he was in the accident. And so they were in it. And of course, we all know the story. He was Superman. He's this megastar. Then he gets in this terrible accident and it has a spinal cord injury and then is...
What was the accident? I don't even remember. Was it fell off a horse?
Yeah.
Horse.
Yeah, and it was...
Oh, God.
It was described as like, you know, a half inch to one direction, he'd be dead. A half inch in the other direction, it would have been just like an embarrassing, like, get up and move on. So it was just like he was in that liminal space of catastrophic spinal cord injury that left him paralyzed from the neck down.
I can't imagine.
What I really loved about the film was that they could have very easily made, sort of fed into the mythology of like, he was amazing and he was perfect. And then this happened and he has this amazing wife who stood by him and it was, but they made it so much more nuanced and truthful, about the fact that he was imperfect. He wasn't the best dad in certain ways. Like he was, he was Mr. like, you know, horses and skiing and let's go out and do shit. But he wasn't like always super into like connecting, just talking with his kids or whoever.
Being present.
Yeah. And he left his first wife probably in part because his career was sort of absolutely shit besides Superman. Like he had no other films that did well. And he probably was dissatisfied and probably put some of that on his first wife. And she was in it. And the accident ended up being framed as the thing that was necessary. Like Christopher Reeve even said.
Wow. I'm so glad that you said that. And I'm going to absolutely watch this documentary. And I will be recommending, after I watch it, of course, this to all my clients, because it is amazing what the brain will do to accept whatever situation. And so knowing that should help us live with less fear.
It's so hard, though, because look at what was in his eyes, in his own words, was necessary for him to sort of get the wake-up call of, like, what's important and how to be a better person. I would really prefer to learn that an easier way.
Right.
And maybe some people could, but maybe that's just retrospectively, whatever, but he felt like it was almost necessary for him to become the person he needed to be.
Wow.
Powerful.
It's so powerful. It's really beautiful. It just shows like the resilience of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that, I think so many things we say, oh, I'm so scared to do X, Y, and Z because what if this happened? But you don't need to worry about that because that version of you, that present you in that future moment will do what is right and do what it's all like part of the plan and necessary, whatever it may be.
I'm sure you're not familiar with this part of the story, but within a year and a half after he passed, his wife Dana got lung cancer, stage 4, never smoked.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And they had a son together, and he had lost his dad, and he's young. He's like freaking 12 or something. And then she gets stage 4 lung cancer, and she's like, no, I can't. Like, this can't beat me. And that she said she learned so much about like optimism and hope and courage from Christopher.
Yes.
But unfortunately, she passed away. And that was 1996. And that boy, Will, their son, was still a boy. And he said he's like, I got these half siblings and they are beautiful and wonderful. And I have an adoptive family and they are beautiful and wonderful and they gave me so much. But from that day on, I was alone. Oh my God.
What is he doing now? I'm so curious about
you
his
would
story.
love him. He's on,
I know he's got to be like a helper.
Good
what
Morning
is he doing?
America or one of the morning shows, but he is like the nicest, salt of the earth kind of guy, and dreamy, and you just think
that person
perfect guy
is
right. But it's so
once they work on their own stuff. Once they work on their own stuff, like he's got to. There's going to be some individual work to do, but man, is he going to be a good partner.
And he probably has done that. I mean, like it was in his documentary, so he's not going into detail. And he is extremely inspired by his mom and her devotion to their family.
Gosh,
you can tell.
that is a dedication.
It's powerful.
Oh my God. Whoever is with him is going to be lucky if he's not married already. Like what?
I think he's single and hot.
And you know what? Then probably for the right reasons, because he's going to be very selective about who he's with.
Please.
I'm writing so much fan fiction for him in my mind. I can already see. He's going to be very selective. It's going to be like, no. Somebody who's so caring. Probably somebody who has somebody in the family who's special needs.
I can see that.
Mm-hmm. Like somebody who has like a brother with Down syndrome or
like who knows what it's like to really get it.
Yep.
So it's on Max. You should watch it. It's beautiful, but it's not annoying mythology of like, look at how great he is. It's like the truth of human experience.
Yeah.
And that we're all freaking messed up and that we can all do better. So I like that.
Good one.
It was. Then, okay. I watched also the documentary on Netflix about the tsunami in
oh my gosh.
Yeah, the Indian Ocean, like Philippines, Thailand.
We went to Thailand for the challenge while they were working to rebuild tourism there.
Yeah.
So that hotel that we were at was brand new post tsunami. Like they redid it all.
Yeah.
We went during a very unique time because I have been back since, as I'm sure you have too, with Adam living there.
Uh-huh.
It was night and day. There was nothing left. We were there in 2008 or 2009. The beaches were bare. I couldn't believe that. Oh my gosh. Okay, tell me about the documentary.
Well, I think that one was on Netflix, and I just to be reminded of the enormity of that event and how 225,000 people died in the matter of one day or a few hours across several countries, and all the things that went wrong that led to that many people perishing. And it just, I don't know, like, glad you're a therapist, because I don't know how to deal with the fact that this was the day after Christmas, and a lot of the people were tourists, and we're watching the videos. That's what made this extraordinary. They collected the videos from the people who lived it, and they are playing on the beach 1 minute.
Right.
And 2 minutes later, this nightmare rolls in. And normally with an environmental event, we know it's coming.
Right.
A tornado, a flood, whatever. We know something, a snow, storm, whatever. You do not know when a tsunami is coming unless you have the equipment that can tell you. And so it's sunny, it's beautiful, it's a holiday, and then their lives become hell. And the stories...
I can't even... that is not on anyone's radar.
Right.
This is... like, they're...
And the earthquake that erupted in the ocean was an 8.9.
Oh my God, that's so
and they had a seismologist on there, and he was my favorite part because he provided a lot of like data about, I don't really understand earthquakes, even like that Richter scale shit. It's like, what does that even mean? I don't know. Yeah. I know like one's big and one's small. I don't know what it means in terms of damage.
Yeah, it's 8.9.
It's sort of limited. Like massive. You don't. It depends on what else is around.
Right.
Right? So even the number itself isn't that useful. So
and you didn't grow up in a that's right, because Pittsburgh's not earthquakey. California, this is like stop, drop, or what do they call it? What the hell was it? They would call it the Great Shakeout. There was like a clever name there where we would have like these earthquake drills.
Right, and you're prepping for it. And so, you would know this number is high, but still, like, if it's in the ocean, sometimes that number would be like, nothing would maybe happen, depending on how it worked out. But he said, like, it was an 8.9, and that if you got a 10, that would mean that the earth split in half. When he said that, I about died. Think about it. And it lasted 8 minutes. 8 minutes of catastrophic rock crumbling beneath our feet.
Earthquakes we've ever had. I mean, that was because I feel like, wasn't like Northridge like a 4 point something, the one in LA? Like,
and you won't shut up about it.
I will not shut up about it.
No, I mean, like, it changed your life.
Absolutely.
Right. So in this case,
6.7. Yeah.
That's a big earthquake, especially in a city, a populated.
But you increase that, but oh my God. And almost not. That is off the Richter scale.
Honest to God. And so then you have this, like, they showed all these videos of like this black wall of doom. And everyone's like, even the locals.
I love/hate all those infographics of like, this is how big it is compared to.
Yes. And even the locals were like, what am I looking at? Like, we talk about where you don't recognize it because it's like something you've never seen before. And then all of a sudden,
brain doesn't know where to put it.
Yes.
And that must have happened very quickly.
Right.
Like, at that magnitude, they make it out in movies like the ocean pulls away, like the shoreline.
Yes, and they showed all the people being like, "Oh, that's weird."
And then, if you ever see that, fucking
run for
your life. Run so fast. If the ocean is moving in the other direction, what are you doing?
Sarah, I'm getting worked up because literally when I saw that, I thought, if this is what aliens would look at us and be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, we don't understand the mechanics of, like, if the tide left.
This is like when you, like, if I all of a sudden had the ants on my patio, and I don't have ants on my patio, don't worry. But if I did.
Unhinged. She does not have ants on her patio. Ladies, clean as a whistle.
Funny. Oh, you crack me up. If I took a big bucket of water and I just dumped it over a bunch of ants, they wouldn't know what the fuck to do either. Because it's like, we weren't prepared for this. I don't think people know what to do.
It's impossible to conceive.
It is impossible to conceive in that moment where you're like, just celebrated Christmas morning. I'm sorry. No chance.
And even just the violence of what was in the water, like a lot of it isn't drowning. It's being hit by cars and wood and debris and glass.
Yes.
And what was really powerful was the people were telling these stories. And this, for example, this man was talking about his experience, and he's holding his 3-year-old, and you know, you're holding as tight as you can, but the weight and the force of water.
What are you going to do? Right.
And so you come up, and then your child is gone, right? But then, right? And then they would cut to a shot of that man realizing in that moment that he did not have his child anymore.
Oh my God. I can't.
And if you can't then get how horrific this was.
Oh God, no. Oh my God. I think the tsunami really would be the worst.
The worst.
I really do. Because it's like fire, you know, it's coming from, it's different. This is so on another level. The same with Avalanche. The only thing that would be
That's the
close
other one. When you said
Avalanche.
that, I was like, also Avalanche.
That's it.
Avalanche
and Tsunami are, because you're just powerless. It's water.
Powerless.
It is. You're totally powerless.
And
There's
that's it. It's a lottery
you can do.
And so when you're watching the series, and I think there were 3 or 4 episodes.
Wow.
You're hearing these stories, and you may think the person they're describing is dead, and then you find out they're not, and that's so fun. But then there are people who did perish, and so like watching it really showed you how it is at random.
Right. There was a really great movie with, I think it's Naomi Watts, that is about this story. It is
oh my God,
so good. I'm going to look it up right now so everybody knows.
Yeah, because some people might respond better to like scripted stuff. I obviously am not one of those people, but
it was called The Impossible.
And it was about specifically this tsunami, or just
a couple and their
tsunami?
3 sons encountered terror, courage, and compassion following the December 2004 tsunami that devastated Thailand. It is so
based
good.
On a true story.
It is. I get goosebumps right now. It is. It's a movie that I have seen maybe 5 times, and I'll watch every time it's on because I'm like, oh no, this is a great movie. Like, those kind.
Yeah.
It's like that. See that
and
movie.
then, you have like survivor guilt, all this stuff. And it's
Holy
like,
shit.
You realize how we have to believe in our minds day to day that like the world is ordered and makes sense and is just. And we have to tell ourselves that.
Right.
To function.
Absolutely.
But when you see things like this, you are temporarily reminded of like, that is not always the case. And that a lot of stuff is random and violent and cruel.
Be grateful.
Yeah.
Live in the moment.
For real,
be
man.
Present. Love the ones you're with. Like, for
my joke
real.
about like, how they say God only gives you what you can handle. And I'm like, I am so glad I can't handle anything. Because I do not want.
I am fucking good. I know. I can't. I can't handle anything. It's too much. I don't think he believes me. He's like, no, this chick
neither do I.
Got real thick skin. All right.
But for me, it's true. I think we all know that. I'm like, just watching the freaking film, I was like, I can't continue watching this. It's too painful. But it's real and it happened and it was a lot of people. Yeah. But the good news is that tragedy, they fixed so many of the problems.
A lot of things changed with tsunami warnings and
and the communication around the world with seismologists and stuff. And they were calling, like the people that knew, they were in the Pacific Ocean. Those seismologists were like, how do we so they would call, no one would answer.
Oh my God.
And they'd be like, if someone did answer, we're speaking a language they don't know. And we're telling them, run for your life, tell everybody on the shore. God. And you have to hope that they believe you.
These kind of natural disasters, this kind of stuff like this, 100, 200 years from now, if we're all still around, these are going to be the things that the people of that time are going to be like, wow, can you believe they had no... Yes. Mm-hmm. They, for sure. And that shit is wild to me. We are just little babies. Just little babies on this planet.
It's, on a small scale, how we joke about how like sitcoms from the 80s wouldn't work now because like cell phones solved so many of the plot problems. Like, there's a misunderstanding. I couldn't get a hold of my friend. And it's like that now with this stuff where it was like, this is all solved now. Where like we can communicate in an instant.
Oh my God. And it's only going to get better if we put this is why we need to fund science, like the environmental studies and those little weird scientists that just seismologist guy that only studies earthquake. And they're like, why do we need to give money to that? Because of this. Give that fucking weird scientist the money. Please.
Right.
He's not even asking for much, for Christ's sake.
Oh my God, they just want like a phone that works.
For real. They're like, I'd like to eat, I don't even care if it's just canned beans when I'm living in Alaska doing my work as a seismologist and like wearing the same coat.
He was super nerdy. I love him. That's why he was my favorite part because he would like say this stuff and he'd just be like, nobody's going to listen to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, God bless them. It's a great film if you can handle it, because wow, what stories were told. Okay, moving on. Okay.
That footage is going to be wild.
I don't know. This is kind of fun. This is a little quick something. A new study identified and categorized 241 small spoon-shaped objects found at like archeological sites.
Okay. Yeah.
And they were invariably found among items used in warfare. I bet Sarah can guess what they were used for. I'm going to see if you can.
Spoon-shaped items
At like
found
archaeological sites of war.
Of war.
What do people use spoons for? There's like two main...
This is such a fun game. Okay. This is going to be like my new question on Hinge. I'm going to say like, what were they for? I mean, my instinct is like something with play, like something with like, but they're not.
Kind of. Think about what people use spoons for. Obviously eating.
I don't know what else people use spoons for.
You've really evolved, I feel like. I feel like young Sarah would be like, Tuesday's Sacrifice would know the answer to this.
Is it drugs?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow, the tools haven't changed.
They were doing drugs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they were getting hopped up. Stimulants to fight.
Wow.
Like proper, like natural kinds, like poppies.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Like opiates or whatever they call them.
You? I mean, that's like, yeah, I'm going to be doing whatever I can to.
Yeah, they were dosing out drugs before battles, especially stimulants. And it was like poppy, hops, hemp, henbane, which I don't know what that is, belladonna.
We got to get up on that. Yeah.
And then mushrooms.
Okay. Wow. That's a wild combination.
I mean, right? I bet sometimes they didn't work the way they wanted.
I know. I would imagine like she got half the army's fighting, half of them is like making daisy chains out in the field.
Yeah, right. They're like, it's fine.
Yeah. Peace, love, and dope.
Well, that is what is wild to me, though, is there is nothing new under the sun.
It's very funny that you said Tuesday Sacrifice would know that, though, because Tuesday Sacrifice didn't ever do any drugs, not even pot. She was totally clean and sober. In fact, hung out with all the straight edge kids. And
your
Sarah
drug
now
was just done like what? What was your drug?
Fucking high on life, baby. Like hardcore music.
No.
Headbanging and mosh pits and tattoos.
Wow.
Drug was my drug, probably.
How do you think they learned that?
I was
that
very
long
scared
ago?
of drugs. I didn't do anything.
That's right. You've told me that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But like, I figured everyone around you was probably like,
no,
fucking...
they were straight edge kids. They were like,
Who are they?
That was like how I rebelled. Yes. I wanted
Christians?
youth camp vibes without the Christianity. And that is straight edge sober kids in the hardcore scene in Orange County.
This is
in
niche,
the early
man.
2000s. Totally niche. Wow. Totally niche. Yes.
How do you think these folks, I mean, we're talking gazillions of years ago.
Yes.
How do you think they realized that the spoon was useful in this regard? I do not understand how that was discovered. I still don't even know what the spoon really does.
I would say that the way that the drug is administered is going to be the thing that dictates the tool of choice. So we would imagine that it's something that's in liquid form because a fork wouldn't work. Right?
I appreciate that you're dumbing this down for me.
I'm not. I'm just being like totally serious. Matter of fact, like I thought we were like spitball. We're solving the puzzle. We're looking at the clues.
You have,
we're
a mushroom.
Putting our thinking cap on.
Or
it feels
poppy.
like they would have it they would boil it in tea.
Oh.
Get it?
Yeah.
Like,
okay. Now
like
you're
that.
Now
and
you're
now
talking.
they would go around with the little cup and be like, here you go, here you go, here you go, here you go.
Oh,
Or
because I was picturing like crack.
I don't know, each person.
But you're right. It's soup involved.
That's why I didn't say spoon first, because I was like, no, spoon is like for.
They're not doing meth.
They're not, right? There's no like.
It's not like black tar heroin.
I don't think so. I think it's just like a tea and you sip it. But maybe it's just like, here, have a little, and everybody's got their individual drug spoon. I don't fucking know.
Well, because there's no way do you think they used metal spoons back then? I would think they'd be wood.
No.
You know what I mean?
I would think they would be wood too.
Yeah. All right. Well, so I think you're right.
But I could see it being like a thing that everybody's got their own. Like I could see that if usually people have like a kit, like a drug, like you've got like a ritual around it. You know? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I can see everybody having like their own spoon. And then like half of it is like you carve your own. You're like, what the fuck do you do? Sitting around all day? So you're like, oh, I'm going to carve my little daily dose spoon, whatever. They probably have a fucking name for them. I don't know. Yeah.
All right. Well, nothing new under the sun. People were getting hopped up. And I mean, we've learned a lot since World War II about how those guys were all hopped up on meth. So
poor guys today, they really got to do it all clean and sober. It's kind of fucked up.
Why are we doing that?
Why are we doing it? Throughout history, that has never happened until now. And we're like, When
do you think it started? Just after World War II? They were like, okay, guys, we got to do this straight up. Like the sobriety warfare.
I think that I think it's a don't ask, don't tell policy with
So they're not dosing it, but like you.
But I don't think anybody's going to be like
searching for it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think with a lot of those guys, they're like, whatever you need to do to get through.
For sure.
I don't know. I feel like
Vietnam had a lot of that going on too.
Yeah. They didn't want to be
coming
there.
Home addicts.
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. And access and it depends on where you're stationed, where all this stuff. There's a whole bunch
I hope they get to do drugs because something's got to give. I wouldn't want to be out there.
Please. I would be smoking. I'd be chain smoking. Definitely taking up a nicotine habit if I'm doing. Please. If I worked the night shift anywhere, I would develop a nicotine habit.
Okay, this was a joy. Sarah is hilarious. Okay,
Susie always likes me whenever I take my meds. You were saying like I finally my doctor filled my prescription, and so I've been medicated for the last 2 days. And you're like, oh my god, you are on fire.
You are.
Like, it is because I'm medicated. Wow. I was thinking that. I'm like, I got to tell Susie. She likes me better when I'm on meds.
Yeah, I do, and that goes for everyone in my life. By the way,
yeah, that's totally true.
Okay, good to know. Well. Okay, let me preface or intro my interview with Tonia Haddix from Chimp Crazy. Okay, if you saw Chimp Crazy, it is the story of, the community of people that really love having freaking primates or whatever in their house or in their life.
Yes.
And having them as pets. And how it's sort of unregulated in the United States to a certain extent. Like
certain states is state by state, and certain states do not have limitations on what pets you can or what animals you can keep in your home as pets. Mm-hmm.
And so Tonia was one of these people. She had fostered dozens and dozens of babies and children, and including high risk and differently abled children, children with special needs. She has her own children. And then at some point she shifted into animals. And in particular, she loves these apes. And then ended up developing a very close relationship with a chimpanzee.
Yes.
Tonka. And then Tonka. And that was documented in Chimp Crazy. However, she ended up embroiled in this sort of scandal where it turned out that she faked Tonka's death and was hiding Tonka in her own basement, which, let me just say, I'm not a fan of. I don't love that. Like, I don't think a chimp should be in your basement, and I definitely don't think you should lie under oath about it, which she did. although it was entertaining.
Oh, it was so good. And I don't put it past. It's like, I understand the motive.
I understand the motive.
I get where she's coming from.
Yes.
I have empathy, and
me too. And that's what I talked to her about is sort of what drove that, and her belief that we see this a lot with people, even those folks that have like a bunch of cats.
Yeah.
And the cats are like living in squalor, but like the person truly deeply believes that they are the one that can provide the best care.
Yeah.
I saw this in her where she still to this day believes Tonka wants to be with her, wants to be in like a domesticated situation, and that the removal of him, which they eventually did, and placement into a sanctuary is cruel in the way that Tonka had never been in a wild environment. And so I have great compassion for her and great affection. She's very funny, charming, and likable. And so much so, by the way, that the first interview I did with her, the audio did not work. And she was kind enough to redo the darn thing.
That's so kind.
And she does regret lying under oath and other elements of the whole thing. But another part of it that I'm compassionate about is she agreed to do that documentary under false pretenses.
Yes.
The director was not truthful about who was making it and their intention. And as people from reality TV, I think you and I both feel that is unethical and that it is unfair to her, because now her whole life has been turned upside down and she is very recognizable. And that is cruel to do to somebody.
Yeah.
Because she did not sign up for that.
Yeah, that is so true.
And I don't like that. And so I want her life to be okay. I want her to be okay. I hope things work out. I don't think she should steal chimpanzees and put them in her basement and give them Happy Meals or anything like that. It's not my favorite part. But I do think that was unfair to her, and it's exploitative.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I can't wait for this interview.
Can't wait for you guys to hear her share her story and make your mind up for yourself. If you haven't watched it, it's on HBO Max, and boy, is she a character. So welcome to the show, Tonia Haddix. Okay, this is a redo. Nightmare. Tonia Haddix from Chimp Crazy. Thank you so much for coming on again. I'm happy to be with you again, but I'm so sorry. This is a redo.
Well, thank you so much for having us.
Well, it's a pleasure because, as I told you before, my co-host and I are on reality TV. We know what it's like to be at the mercy of editors and whatever, but we consented to our show, whereas you kind of agreed to do a documentary that didn't end up happening. You got bait and switched. So what happened? You agreed to do something else.
Yeah, so basically, because Eric Good knew, because of his history with Tiger King, that nobody in the animal industry would want to film with him. So he came up with a brilliant scheme of using a proxy director who happens to be an animal person. You know, he worked for the circus. He worked for Pam Rosaire, who's a chimp person. He also worked for Doc Antle down at a safari he had. And he hung out with the penguins and did shows. So with that said, he knew the right names, the right words, the right animals, the right everything to make you feel very comfortable with what he was selling you. And so basically he sold me a story that there was 3 private owners. James, which was the camera guy too, he owned reptiles, and basically he and Dwayne wanted to have their own personal financing. So basically it was their out of pocket to do just a small docu-series like for PBS or something like that, that is about good private ownership. And they had seen my story on Channel 2, Fox 2 with Chris Hayes locally. So what happened was when they seen it, they liked what they saw, and they went ahead and went ahead and, sent me an email. And they just emailed me and said, hey, we'd like to come out and talk to you about, helping you out. And at that point, I was at the point we were fighting PETA, and we were losing hand over fist. So I was like, you know what? I'm starting, because when Chris Hayes reached out to me, he was just a local reporter, and everybody had been kind of fascinated with Connie's facility, and it had been closed up for so long from people like that because she had been duped so many times in the past that she just didn't feel comfortable letting people on because she had been betrayed so many times. So I was very optimistic that, letting people see that the chimps are well cared for and the care that they got, that, that it might bring locals to support us and support our cause. So that's how I started letting Chris Hayes come out. And then that story got out, and then it went viral from there.
Well, and you felt like these were people you could trust. And Dwayne, is that the name of the proxy director?
Yes, Dwayne Cunningham.
It seemed like you guys had chemistry. He seemed to genuinely have affection for you. And I can see why you felt like this is my buddy and somebody that's going to do right by me. And that is not what happened.
For sure, because he would help feed bottles. He knew the animals. He loves animals. Yeah. He's a big animal lover, and you could tell that right off. And he's a, just a warm, sincere, caring person. He's very family oriented. He's down to earth. He is an animal person, so he's a lot like us. So he was able to mesmerize us, and even Connie liked him. And Connie's very skeptical, but even like the volunteers that volunteered out at Connie's for years, they liked him too. So, it wasn't just my guard that was put down. A lot of people's guard was put down with his charisma and his, how he was and that type thing. So, yeah, he gained our trust. And honestly, that's the hardest part because we still like him to this day. But it's just sad because he did betray us for the good of money, I guess. And it's really sad to me.
Yeah, I guess for his career or something.
Yeah.
Did you end up watching the series?
I did. That was one of the things, going back to start working with them again after I found out it was Tiger King. They had made a few promises to me, and one of those promises was that I would get to see the documentary in its full entirety before it got released. And they kind of tricked me on that too, because they kept postponing me, and they waited till the very end before anything could be done because of the fact that they kept telling me I'd love it. They swore to me I'd love it, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't know who you think I am, but I didn't love not one piece of it.
So what did you feel was misrepresented, or what didn't you like about it?
Well, it was totally misrepresented. If you would know the whole story and know that they had been filming with us way before any of those chimps were moved. Mm-hmm. They actually filmed the day in the life of Tonia up at Connie's, like shoveling chimp poop, cleaning cages, feeding fresh produce instead of McDonald's, and actually seeing day-to-day care of those chimps. And if they would have showed more details and more like what I consider a documentary where they're just presenting the facts and letting people, because that's what they told me they were going to do. Jeremy McBride swore to me that up until the bitter end, that it was going to be basically a conversation piece. They were going to present both sides of the story. They were going to allow people to make their own judgment, and that, they were going to be 50-50 and basically neutral. And so but anyway, so if they would have presented more of the Tonia that is a day-to-day person, like I had some people come from Oregon and Arizona this weekend to just come meet me at the safari, and they seen the day-to-day care because they were here 2 days. If they would have shown more of that and shown how much I spent taking care, and I don't mean finances, I mean my heart, my whole being of taking care of those chimps and how much I love those chimps, then I would feel like then it would have been what I call a documentary. To me, and they get mad at me, to me it's a cheeky, scripted, basically reality TV show. I mean, in a roundabout way.
Yeah, I don't know how they could even argue otherwise. It's supposed to be shocking, right? So they're going to take like those extreme examples
Yes.
And then, paint that picture. And it's very entertaining for sure, but you're saying it's not accurate.
None of it. Just like the scene where somebody's carrying Tonka up the stairs of a hotel room. That's not me. That's not even
shocking.
me at all.
I had no idea until you told me that.
Well, if you look, she's wearing a ball cap. Tonia never wears a ball cap. If anybody knows Tonia, knows that I don't wear a cap. Well, that's not true because my driver's license picture has me in a ball cap because I was doing safaris. Petting zoos, but I had dreadlocks too. I had braids with beads. So of course, then I could wear a ball cap. But no, Tonia, no, that is, and that's what my attorney said. One of my attorneys said that is my favorite scene. You just crushed me. I said, it did happen. That did happen, but that was not me, and that was not a hotel.
They did not make that clear that it was a recreation.
It was a recreation, 100%.
Wow. Yep. So then you watch the film right before it's released, but you can't have them change anything. Like you don't have any authority.
No. And there was 4 series, and they showed me back to back to back to back in 4 hours, and then I left. So you can't soak everything in that is there in that length of a time and actually get every bit and pieces. You know how like when you watch a TV show, you get the gist of it, but then you might rewatch a movie and you're like, oh, I didn't see that. Well, like one person asked me, was I in the docu-series? And I said, no, I didn't see you. Well, guess what? They were. And so then after it came out and I seen it while it was being released, one by one, I was like, oh crap. I had to text them and say, hey, yeah, you were in there because I didn't see it the first time because I was just trying to soak in the storyline so that I could be prepared for what they showed so that I could be prepared for what the world was going to think. So
did you feel like you were prepared?
No, and they knew that. That's the reason why they waited till the weekend before, because, it's just like everybody's like, well, you guys have a good relationship. I have to say, I like Jeremy McBride, who is Eric's partner. I like him. He has stood behind me. I have cussed him. I have begged him not to do the docuseries. Please don't sell it. I have treated him like a dog sometimes because I've been so angry with them and everything else. And he is so kind to take me and still text and say, are you okay? Because he knows I'm not okay. He knows. I mean, just like yesterday, I had about an hour conversation and you could tell I was heightened. And he was like, wow, okay, if you need anything, call me. But you could tell he was ready to end that conversation. But I don't blame him because he spent hours trying to keep me under control so that Eric could do what he's doing. And I know that's what his role is. I get it. But the fact of it is he's been more than kind to me. So I have to say, there's parts of it, parts of those people. And just like the film crew themselves, I had a rapport with them. We worked together for 4 years. Wow. So of course you knew them. You knew their significant others. You knew a lot about them. And even though, they don't, some of them don't even work for Eric. They just use them while they're here in Missouri. He actually lives in Kansas City, one of the camera guys. He doesn't know anything about Eric Good. He didn't know what they were doing. He was just working for them. And so with that said, you can't fault them for that stuff and you can't be angry and mean to them because the one that I'm angry with, and everybody knows it, is Eric Good Entertainment because he knew what he was doing and he still continues doing stuff. And the sad part of it is even whenever I call him out on stuff that I see because somebody sends it to me, he tries to narrate it that he's the innocent one and the media is the one that keeps editing stuff and changing things because he said, I said a lot of nice things. I have many texts with him where he tries to defuse me and basically lies to me because he does talk out of one side of his mouth to me and talks to the world differently. And I have that. And even Amber took note of that because we met up with Jeremy when we were in LA recently, had a couple drinks and one of the James, one of the film crew guy, and they got Eric on not Zoom, but what is it? Yes, FaceTime. And he's like, we love Tonia, but sometimes I can't love her, in public. And basically we love her her, but take care of her. We want what's best for her, blah, blah, blah. But then he just did an article the other day where basically he said, I'm no better than a human trafficker. So then I send this to him. I send it to him and I say, what the heck? And he's like, oh, well, that's not what I meant. And he said, and I have it in text. So it's not like I'm trying to make this stuff up or that I'm the liar. I know for a fact what he says to me. So what he tells me and what he tells the world and presents to the world is totally different. So he's a liar.
Well, I know a lot of producers like that myself, so I can relate, but yours is so extreme, and I wonder if he has any compassion about the fact that now you're this public figure. Everywhere you go, I'm sure you make a scene, because people get excited and all that, but that your whole life's been turned upside down.
He could care less. He says he cares. Oh, he could care less. Now, I do think Jeremy does feel bad. Yeah. I want to at least believe that because he spent so much time, listening to me and knowing that I am a human and that's what I've told them. I can show you text after text where I said, you know what? You guys can walk away. You guys can shut down your cameras. You guys can walk away. But what you leave in the aftermath with all these people, not just me, but like Joe and Tim Stark and all of them, I said, you guys ruin people's lives, and then you guys just collect the money and you run, and you could care less. And if they cared, they wouldn't continue to do it.
Right.
So they don't.
And yours is way worse because you agreed to do it under false pretenses. I don't think that's ethical.
No, it's not ethical.
Terrible. Well, so when you said you're not okay, and I've heard you in other interviews say like your life feels like it's ruined. What is that? What makes you feel that way?
Well, first of all, everything that I once did or everybody that I once thought was my friends, just they're no longer. I don't even know where I belong, and that's why I tell Jeremy that I live day to day, but that's what I do. I'm just existing. I don't live. You got PETA fired up again after me because of the docuseries, and they filed some motions for in the civil court part of it, and then the judge seen the docuseries and was upset, and so she asked for the criminal investigation to be reopened. So every day, everything. I mean, I get new stuff every day where all of this has like crucified me, and where people, I have people threatening to burn down my house. I have people that threaten that I need to be locked up in jail, like I did the chimps, and that I need. They are constantly saying negative things. So that's a whole total world that I didn't have prior to this. So everybody thinks I sold out the monkey community or the exotic community for 15 minutes worth of fame. And even though the docuseries plainly states that they tricked me, that I didn't intend to do that, they still don't care. They have literally turned their backs. And even the ones that support me try to support me privately because they're afraid to stand up, because they're afraid of being knocked down themselves. And so, yeah, my whole life has been turned upside down.
What do you think's going to happen?
To be honest with you, at this point, I don't have a clue. All I do is live day to day, hope for the best, and just try to salvage anything that I can salvage, and try to move on with life. And Jeremy said, Tonia, just get things over with and deal with things and move on with your life. And I'm like, okay, well, that's easy for you to say because you're not the one in this mess, but you got me here. You guys got me here. Your actions got me here. And of course, they throw back, well, we're not the ones that, took Tonka. No, they did not, but it wasn't their story to tell. And if they didn't tell the story, would things be a whole lot different? And that's the whole thing. And it sure wouldn't be public.
And obviously you regret participating in it, but what made you, during filming, even reveal that you had Tonka? Did you feel like that was risky at the time?
They knew it all along. They knew it because when they came up to Connie's, that's where he was. So they knew he was alive the whole entire time. But they were, like I said, I trusted Dwayne, and they didn't do anything then. So I just assumed they supported private ownership. So they were standing behind me standing up for a kid that they knew I loved. So to be honest with you, I didn't worry about telling Dwayne anything because I trusted him 100%, 100%, because they did stuff that they weren't supposed to do in filming that docuseries. So I figured, you know what, they were going against the grain. So I figured that they were okay with everything and that they supported me. That's the reason why supposedly, they hadn't said anything for a year and a half or 2 years, whatever it was. I mean, come on.
What do you think they were thinking when they leaked it or whatever? They wanted a good story.
They turned it in. They wanted an explosive ending. You got to realize they were here. They were here when the U.S. Marshals came. Now, they were not on my property. They were over at a hotel in Osage Beach, but they were here at that time because they knew they had turned me in. Right. And they were sitting across the street whenever they thought I might have known it was them, and they filmed the whole entire time. So they were wanting that explosive ending, and it wasn't going to be the docuseries that it is now. That's why it took so long, because I had to re-edit, because Dwayne kept telling them it's a love story. Tonia did not solicit those monkeys or chimps, did not make any money off those chimps, never displayed those chimps, never nothing. All she did was come in the last part of their life to try to keep them in the only home they ever knew. I only knew them for 4 years. Tonka's 30-some years old. So I didn't do any of that to Tonka. I just wanted him to live the life that he always had lived and just be happy and nobody have to make him work for them. Because I made a promise to him that he would never have to work again. Everybody that had him and that had him over the years made money off of him. And that's why they had him. And I had promised him he wouldn't have to do that with me. I didn't want anything out of him except for him to be happy and for me to enjoy his companionship. I didn't want to solicit him. I didn't want to make a penny. I gave my money to him.
Well, and your feeling was, I remember when we recorded previously, that the reason why you felt like the life that you gave him was better than the one he ended up with is because that's all he knew. So that's the life he understood, right?
Right. And everybody else can't deny that, because just like if you look in a People magazine article that they did with one of the caregivers, they talked about when Tonka first came there, he definitely was humanized. That he didn't know chimp politics. So everything that I say can be proven, not just by me, but by just reading everything and absorbing everything and taking everything in. Even though I may be an extremist and I really wanted to save him with all my heart and soul, and because my heart was in it, doesn't mean that my stances are not legitimately justified. It just means that I would go to more extreme to protect him than some people would. But people don't understand. He was my kid. And even though people don't like me saying that, they think he's an animal and that he's a wild animal. Well, I'm sorry. The fact of it is he is my kid. Just like I adopted my daughter, I adopted him. And whenever I took him on, I promised to take care of him just like I would if he was a human kid. And so with that said, I had to do whatever I had to do.
I mean, I do think that the love comes across. It might feel like a betrayal because of everything that happened, but I think the viewer can see that you love Tonka. Don't you think?
Oh, I do think, because I do think they did change the narrative a little bit because they didn't get their explosive ending. See, they underestimated me. And they underestimated my love for Tonka. They thought because I was an extremist that I would that there would have been an explosive ending when the U.S. Marshals came. But I had enough respect and love for Tonka that wasn't going to happen, and it could have happened. To be honest with you, it could have been a total different day that day because of how it got played out. But people don't understand. I'm not going to put Tonka in harm's way just to, salvage him. I'm going to protect him, which means when I know that there's no safe way to get him out of here. I'm going to give up at that point. I'm not going to, I'm not going to be an extremist and put on a show and that type of stuff, because I'm going to protect him. And I was landlocked, and I didn't have a choice but to let them, take him. But I would never have put him in harm's way to try to salvage him. It just wouldn't have happened.
I wish that the place that he was at now, that sanctuary, I wish they would let you visit, and maybe then, like, let's say Tonka was happy and you observed that. Wouldn't that give you some peace of mind?
If he was happy, but he's not. He's not. No, I know he's not, because just like some of the videos that they showed me, he's sitting there on a platform on an island rocking with a blanket. And if you look up that behavior, just look up neurotic chimp. That's the first behavior that shows up. They say that he would groom somebody like a female for a little bit, but then most of the time he stayed by himself. So to me, that's not a happy chimp. I'm sorry, that's not a happy chimp. And not only that, but if you look at the pictures that they post of him, look at his eyes, and then look at the eyes with him being at my house and see how shiny and how, he's looking around. He's not happy. He's adjusting because he has no choice. But that'd be like taking a kid out of a mansion and putting him in Harlem. Eventually they're going to adapt because they don't have a choice, but that doesn't mean it's the right thing for that chimp or for that person. It doesn't mean that it's right.
Right. I hear what you're saying. So now your life is turned upside down. You're taking it day to day. And what does that look like to you? Tell me about, like, what you have the safari. How's that?
It's good. It's real good. It has always been good, even before the docuseries came out, because it didn't come out till August, and we were almost at the end of our season. So we did really good over the summer and spring. It's a really cute. It's small. But it's all hands-on. You can pet the zebra, which most people don't get to pet zebras. They only get to observe them, and people like that up close, personal type stuff, to where you can hand feed and pet stuff.
I bet people get really excited to meet you too.
Lately, yeah, some of them. But a lot of people, believe it or not, a lot of people around here know about it, but they have consideration for you, because I guess I'm considered a native here now. So they may look, or they may, just talk between each other, but they don't approach me. And then finally, sometimes you'll get somebody that says, "Hey, my daughter would like to have a picture with you. Do you feel offended, or do you mind if we do a picture with you?" And I absolutely say absolutely. And then you'll have those that call you that actually come. They actually plan a trip, like the people that came from Oregon and Arizona. It was 2 sisters and 2 kids. And we even went out to dinner with them the day that the night before they left. So people don't realize I'm just who I am. And so in all reality, if you're respectful to me, I'm going to always be respectful back.
Okay, so you have the safari, and then what's cooking with this podcast idea?
Amber and I we started our own podcast called Chimp Crazy Ladies. And we just do a weekly podcast, and it's on current events or things that definitely some stuff about PETA and definitely Eric Good and that type of stuff. But it also goes into trying to talk about being kind to each other, and that if you're going to have criticism, do it productively, not non-productively, and about bullying, because she had some issues with her daughter having some bullying in school. And I just hate that for young kids. It's hard enough these days for young kids, let alone to have, all that stuff going on. And there's so much teen suicide and that type of stuff because of the social media stuff. And I just want to encourage people to be more kinder. Don't be keyboard warriors, and if you think you want to say something, or you feel like you're strong in your stance on things, to make sure you do it productively, not non-productively.
Yeah. And, it's okay to disagree. I'm sure, there are people that have talked to you that disagree with you that can do that in a nice way.
Yes,
versus,
and that's what I tell everybody. You know what? I'm not opposed to you being, oppositional toward me as long as you do it in a creative way instead of a destructive way. I don't like people calling people names or saying something bad, saying that you look 75 instead of your age. When I can apparently see for myself, I don't look 75 years old.
yeah.
So they just say it because they want to be ugly, or they'll talk about you wearing hair pieces, or they try to say something about fillers. And I'm just like, guys, do you not realize how many people in the world do fillers? I mean, hello.
Yeah, who doesn't? Please.
Right. I was going to say, so why is my fillers even being discussed? Because that has nothing to do with Tonka or private ownership of chimps or anything like that.
It's just rude.
It is rude.
Yeah, that's always what happens. Whenever they don't have a good argument, then they'll just resort to low blows.
Tearing you down. Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, most people agree you're now like a fashion icon and a beauty icon. So that is not up for debate. Everybody knows that. Okay, so you have the podcast, and aren't you on Cameo too?
Yes, I do Cameo, and it's been my favorite venture. And to be honest with you, that's one of the things I didn't want to do. They reached out to me. Actually, they reached out to Australian magazine that I did, wanting my contact information because they wanted me to be on Cameo. Because I guess they had several requests. So he contacted me, and he even, while I was getting a pedicure and manicure, was going over how to set it up, and he helped me set it up and do everything. So
it's fun though, right? Because people are excited to hear from you.
Yes. It's my favorite thing. It brightens my day, to be honest with you, because a lot of people want pep talks, or they want birthday wishes, and then they write you a good review with a 5-star, but it just makes you feel good that you might have touched somebody or might have helped somebody out. And to me, that's like my all-time favorite thing to do, because there's nothing negative about it. It's a very positive experience.
Well, and I remember on our last interview, you did acknowledge that you had some regrets and you wish that you hadn't done certain things in the trial and stuff. It's not like you're defending every part of it, right?
No, because what happened was, whenever I told PETA that Tonka died, people don't know the whole history, the whole background. Put yourself in my shoes. To me, Tonka was a boy to me. He was my kid. And even though he's a chimp kid, he was a kid. And I was trying to protect him from basically another custodial parent. And even though PETA is an organization, it's kind of like a custody battle, let's face it. And I tell everybody every single solitary day that people walk into a courtroom in a custody battle, is there somebody not lying?
Right.
Because I'm sorry to say, there's somebody that is trying to make the other one worse than the other so that they can get what they want as far as custody goes. And they obviously feel strong enough about their position on that kid to do the same thing. So, I don't ever encourage anybody to do any of the stuff that I did, truthfully. I'm not proud of that. I don't go around bragging about it. And even like in that docu-series where I shut that computer like I did, and they thought it was like a big, but that didn't really happen either. That's the whole thing. They made me redo that like 3 or 4 different times because they didn't like how it actually ended. How it actually ended, and if everybody would have seen the whole scene, was because they recorded the whole court procedure. But what happened was, they only cut the last part of it off. So, but basically PETA had browbeat me for about an hour to maybe 2 hours discussing different people that expert witnesses saying that he couldn't have been cremated like that, blah, 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 blah. And I mean, Jared Goodman was basically browbeating me. And that's why I said what I said when the camera was, when we had went to recess and I thought the voice was off too. And the recorder reminded me that I had audio on still, and I was like, oh, okay, thank you. Well, so that was supposed to be said under my own breath, not for the world to see.
Sure, yes.
And then me shutting the computer down, I actually laid my in the real instance, I actually laid my hand on the computer and I just sobbed sobbed and sobbed for a while because you get tired of being beat up. I mean, I'm sorry. And it's emotional because you're talking about a kid you loved. And so it wasn't like what they portrayed it, like I, was master manipulating and I just faked these tears and all this stuff. No, it was intense. It was very hard on me. And I'm a crier anyways. Just like there's a few times I wanted to tear up in this, but I'm trying to learn to control that a little better. But I show my emotions a lot. I'll cry over a little house on the prairie.
I believe that. All the babies you fostered and stuff, I mean, I think it's evident that you have a very big heart and you care very deeply. We ask everybody one last question. I'm excited to hear your answer. And the question is, what do you keep in the trunk of your car?
Actually, it's funny. I have a little crate, a heating pad, and some stuff to take care of monkeys. Because if I'm out and about and somebody calls me and needs me to go pick one up, I want to be prepared.
Oh my gosh, you are ready for action at a moment's notice. That's hilarious. Yeah. Well, I wish you the best. I hope that things improve and settle down for you, and you can just live your life and enjoy. And I'm excited to hear the podcast. It's called Chimp Crazy Ladies. And you release every week?
Yes, every Monday.
Okay. And people can find it on any podcast platform. And they can donate to the safari and get a cameo with you, which
definitely
I'm sure does not disappoint.
Oh, Thank you so I've gotten 5 stars on all of them. So.
I bet. I give you 5 stars right now. Thank you so much, and thank you for your time and patience.
Thanks for putting up with me.
No, my pleasure. Thanks for putting up with me and technology that failed us.
Well, all right. Okay, it happens. Have a good day.